Welcome back to Doc's Hot Shop and Forge. So today I'm going to do something I've not really done before, which is an asymmetrical wrap die axe. So what I'm starting off with is my usual template, but what I've done is I've offset it so that the bit that's going to be the scarf to close the eye is much shorter than the bit that's going to end up part of the bit for the actual axe blade. So this is more about defining if I've got enough material, whether I need more for the bit, and so on. I will probably end up with this one welding a piece on for a beard, which I'll then weld a wrap of steel around to get the cutting edge. So instead of it being the usual insert the steel inside the mild, it'll be a piece of steel that's wrapped around the outside of the mild, if that makes sense. The odds are that this particular prototype won't go much further than this, simply because I don't know if I've got enough material. I've played around with it in my head and mucked around with a bit of plasticine a bit, but I'm still just not 100% certain. So let's get this cut off. Let's mark out where my set downs are going to go, and we'll see how we go. See what it looks like when it's welded up and drifted out so the eye is finished. If we like that, then we might just continue and finish off the axe. If we don't like how it looks, then we revisit and repeat. So let's get things hot and let's have some fun. So here we've got our blanks and we've got the outside, this will become the pole. These two areas here will become the inside of the cheeks, and that will become the scarf. So there's a set down there, there, here and here, and this will become the bit. So I envisage a bit of a drop in and then the draw out and possibly welding on some extra steel. Cross that bridge if we need to. So let's get this hot and do those set downs. First off, let's find our mark. To go about halfway. Okay, that's roughly where we want it thickness wise. Let's do the other side. For the other edge, we work on the near side. Get that inset started. Probably about right. Keep drawing out the width. work is done over the horn. So actually you pick where you want your middle. Work it in. Remember, now for the other ear, so first step, break this, which is this is the inside corner. Yep. What I'm afraid of is that I don't actually have enough metal. Now, what I want to achieve for this is that the end is slightly rounded for going into the ears, but also that it's slightly crowned in this area so that it forces slag out through the sides. set up most of this in the vise. Now we have to squish this down a bit. Being careful not to trap tooling. Okay, let's get some flux in here. So this next bit is about closing the weld seam as much as we can without actually welding it, because we need the flux to get in there to finish cleaning it out. But we also need to turn it around so we don't overheat the eye section and get excess scale formation inside the eye, which can be very difficult to clear out. This is actually pretty close to welding heat. That's pretty good. That is actually looking very solid. So right now I'm just going to work on feathering in the scarf so it blends in well. reasonably uniform. The weld's holding up really well. I don't know if you can see that, but the weld's not coming apart at all. So, I figure we've got the ratios about right. Do need to work on that a little bit. It's got a bit stiff. But I think this is where we're going to head off to. So now we need to work on that. Forgot to record making a bit extension. It's not much. Line up reasonably well. Now the reason for the partial cut is to minimise the amount of dead space that the flux really has to work on. All of this part, so the extra little bit of beard and the steel and the axe beard itself, is going to be encapsulated completely inside the tool steel edge, which is going to be made from some antique buggy leaf spring, which is about, going on the sparks, about 0.8%, so fairly high carbon. And we are at welding heat. Let's see how we're doing. So, I don't know if this is the traditional way to do this, but it actually does work. Now the question comes up from time to time, how do you know when it's a welding heat? And well, when you look at the flux, it does this little silvery dance almost, where it's flowing, and in so doing, it's actually exposing super fresh metal ready for the, essentially ready for the hammer's blow. And that's what you're looking for. Those flashes of silver. So we begin Gotta keep this under control. Need a little bit of swoop, but not that much. So I'm about to try to weld the edge bit onto the outside of the cutting bit of the body of the axe. We'll see how we go. I don't think this axe is actually going to be usable because I think there might be some cracks developing in some of the mild steel, which is a bit unusual. This is what I'm trying to avoid. So let's get it up to welding heat and just run with it. Definitely. That's one. All right. Trying to do this without getting too much burnt fingers sort of thing happening. So acting welded, I'll give it that. I will be chalking this axe up to a learning experience because I've never actually had mild steel crack up like that on me. So, yeah. Well, at the end of the day we've got a 2 pound-ish, it'll be a bit less once grinding's done if I progress to that point, bearded axe. Now, it does have some problems, which I'm likely to put it down to this was the first time I used this particular method, and I just don't know what exactly happened to the mild steel that I used for the beard, but I don't know if you can see it, but it's actually acts as if it's been burnt. Now, that is really unlikely to have happened in the gas forge because it just doesn't get to the point where mild steel will actually burn. And at no point was this sparkling hot. So something happened. Whether it's poor quality steel or whatever, I do not know. The jacket of tool steel or high carbon spring steel is also compromised, but that is through an accident where whilst I was fitting it to the bit or the body of the axe, it actually slipped off and fell in my quench bucket, which means it's got some cracks in it, some very odd cracks in the edge, none of which will grind out. So on those counts, this particular one is a failure, but I learnt a heap of stuff from it, and I think I will use this method of composite construction in future bearded axes. So the asymmetrical wrap worked really well. It's held up to making up the eye really well. The section I forged in for the beard worked really well. Next time I'll make a longer piece, and I'll try and get a little more overlap. This one has overlap from here to about here, which actually is pretty good. So the unsupported section is only about 25 or 30 millimeters. But with all of those issues that we've identified, this one is going on the learning pile, something that I've learned from. So I won't be grinding this one much beyond this. I may have a look at it. I may grind it just for the giggles of it, but I won't do that as a video. It will just be for my personal learning to see if there's anything else I can learn from it. It is very well aligned, it's very straight. There's a little corner here that hasn't quite welded up properly, but otherwise it looks pretty good. So next time I do this, it will be for reals, as it were. Practice time is over. So if you've enjoyed this video, hit the thumbs up. Feel free to share on social media, and if you haven't already subscribed, I'd love to hit that subscribe button. When you do, ring the notification bell. So get out to your shop, have fun, and above all, stay safe, and I'll catch you for the next one.